Hello everyone, and welcome to One Pot. Today we're looking at The Ascent. The Ascent is a third-person twin-stick shooter that is available on Steam, Xbox One, and the Series console, and it's available on Game Pass. Some people have said this game is buggy and doesn't play well on the original on the older Xboxes, the Xbox One S and X, and the OG VCR Xbox One. Now for me, PC was the first console, or the first platform I should say, that I was going to try it on, but my Xbox is there, I already had it preloaded. Give it a shot. The console version plays fine, and if I was any good at twin stick shooters on a controller, I probably would have played the whole game through like that. At this point, I've only played probably like 4 or 5 hours of the game, and I have a pretty good representation of what the game is about and how the game's gonna play. And honestly, the base like combat, the augments, and all the cool stuff you can get is fine. Some of the keyboard mappings are odd, but I want to point out one thing. I went to boot up the game on Xbox and I noticed something. It said press any key to continue. So I thought maybe it supports keyboard and mouse. I know the Xbox Series console support keyboard and mouse on a platform level, so it's possible, right? So I plugged in my keyboard and mouse, and I had it working, and it was working fine until I went to talk to people, and then my mouse cursor would disappear. I'd go back to home, the cursor would come back for a bit, I'd come back, and then I went to talk to Poon for the first real cutscene, and the cursor just disappeared. It was gone. I couldn't get it back by initiating, going to the home menu or whatever. I didn't feel like restarting the game to see if it would work. Now, I don't know if this is a problem with my mouse in particular, but I will note that I did go to the store page for The Ascent on the Xbox, and it does not say anywhere that it supports keyboard and mouse. So I tried just to see how it works. It didn't work, which is kind of a shame because the game runs a lot smoother on the Series X than my PC. Not that my PC is a slouch, I would say they're probably pretty close in power comparing the two. I know the CPU of my PC is more powerful. I have a 12-core, 24-thread CPU in my PC compared to the 8-core, 16-thread in the Series X. The GPU is a toss-up. I think my 2080 should be more powerful, but I'm also only rendering the game at 1440p. I saw a lot of stutters and frame drops on PC, but I'm not the only one who's been having these issues. Apparently a patch went through today, but today being Friday, well, it's Saturday now. At the time of recording, there was a patch coming out, and I didn't have access to it when I recorded this footage and started writing to talk about this. Technically, this game is a bit of a mess right now. If you're considering playing The Ascent and purchasing it, I would wait for a couple of patches. If it gets worse or doesn't get any better anytime soon, I will probably update a bit and talk about it on my Twitter or maybe my next stream on Tuesday. It plays fine after the opening section of the game, which I would argue is pretty heavy on the console. Well, it's pretty heavy on the PC also. The greatest part about the Game Pass or the Xbox version, if you buy it digitally, is you can play it on your Windows PC. Just log into your Microsoft account on your Windows 10 device or Windows 11, depending, and your game will just be there for you since it has Play Anywhere. Now I want to talk about a couple of the bad things. I haven't really talked about gameplay at all, but so there's cross console play and cross play between the PC and the Xbox version, but only when using the Windows 10 version and the Series X version. You cannot use the Steam version and talk to the other two. I don't know why this is a thing. I hope this can be cleared up in a patch or something, but as of right now, if your friend bought the game on Steam and you have it on Game Pass, you cannot play together. Alright, now that I have all the technical problems I ran into and my weirdness with keyboard and mouse out of the way, let's start talking about the actual game. For one, the weapons you get after the first weapon, which I hate the first weapon, it was a pain to use. It's a revolver basically. It does decent damage. But I preferred the machine gun I got second. And then when I eventually got a rocket launcher, I don't want to boot up that save because it's a little bit finicky right now because I've been switching between the two versions, and with the patch coming out, I want to wait for the patch to come through before I get back to the game. But I found a rocket launcher and my life was infinitely better, and then I found a shotgun. The weapons that they start you with are fine, but I think they could have started you with a better weapon than a handgun, but I guess they wanted you to feel that oppressive nature. You basically go from being an indent, or a slave in anything but name, as the game refers to it, to being a hired mercenary for Poon. At least in the first section of the game. I haven't beaten Poon's arc, if in case there's more, but I have done enough of it to have a decent opinion on the game. The shooting is good. Some of the combat encounters are fine. Some enemies are dumb. Other enemies will hide behind cover. You get a nice mix. The respawns are incredibly quick and forgiving for most of them. One of the issues I noticed was if you died in a firefight and had set off an explosive barrel, sometimes when you respawn, the explosive barrel did not respawn, and that could be an issue. Also, your battery power, or if you use the ability, they do not respawn. I don't know if that's a balance thing. It didn't bother me that much because most of the time when I have the option to just shoot everything, most of the time that's how I deal with the problems in a game like this. I kind of forget augments exist. I did the same thing kind of in Cyberpunk, where I forget that augments exist outside of the ones I used all the time. Like quick hack, like the hacking mechanic. Grenades in this game are interesting in that they have a resource you have to collect to charge them. You have batteries for your augmented abilities also. And the first one you get's like this big area of effect punch that I kind of like. But I'm sure there's better ones that you get later, which I'm more interested in something maybe crowd control-y, or puts up a shield, maybe drops a barrier. I saw in the promo material there was like a barrier thing. Now, time of filming, I have not been able to play the game co-op at all. Partly because of the no crossplay between Steam and Xbox. Still hope that gets fixed. And also because a lot of my friends didn't pick up this game at all. So I can't talk about how the co-op works. But honestly, The Ascent is one of those games that I think is going to be most fun co-op. And I'm not sure what the plan is at this moment, story-wise, or I've heard it's about 30 hours long, which sounds about right for a game like this. It's like a cyberpunk Diablo style game. It's an RPG, an action RPG, and a pretty good one. Honestly, there's not a lot to complain about with the actual gameplay and core mechanics of the game. The world's good, the graphics are good, the voice acting is good from what I've heard so far. There might be someone who isn't so good. I saw some people complaining about it, and well, yeah, sure, maybe not everything's perfect. Poon was good, and most of the named protagonists that I have met so far are of a certain level of quality. This is a small studio that made this game, and yes, there was a deal struck obviously to be on Game Pass day one. But it seems to have sold well, and hopefully they'll continue to patch it and refine it, and maybe we'll see some bonus content later, some new game plus stuff, post-game content. This kind of game seems like it would want to have post-game content for co-op reasons. I don't know how much I will pursue that. It depends how good the actual game is all the way through, how good the story is. But for me, this is definitely a fun game, but a flawed kind of fun. I hope to see more interesting weapons as it goes. The gear so far has been whichever one had the best defense type stats. I haven't been too big on the gear I picked up. The weapons have been fun, and the fact that the weapons can be upgraded and you don't have to just replace your weapon is so nice. I always hated in Borderlands how I swear I'd get a new gun every 10 minutes and I'd be like, well, is this one better or is that one better? Or there'd be one weapon in a game like Borderlands that I would never replace because it was the only sniper rifle I got that was any good, and then I get a new one and it would be like, oh yeah, it's only got one shot. Or one of those stupid, you throw the gun at someone. There's none of that here. The guns are fine. Ammo is not limited. I know some people said ammo was limited and they're wrong. Unless you have a special weapon, I guess. There might be weapons that actually need ammo, but so far all the guns I have unlocked, which is a decent amount. I want to say about 10. Maybe closer to like 8. 8 different types of weapons. And all of them do not have any sort of ammo resource you have to pick up, which is fine. Someone's like, that's not realistic. I don't care. If you're gonna give me a 2-weapon limit, at least let me have an obscene amount of ammo or no ammo limit at all. The grenade limit, with it being on a resource cooldown, not my favorite. But overall, a fun game. Maybe wait for a couple more patches. It's still good. But I'm definitely looking forward to jumping back into it. And it's one of those games that I'm probably going to play until I'm finished it, and then put it on the list and see how it stacks up at the end of the year. We're getting so close to the end of the year, and I don't even know what my favorite game so far has been. The Ascent's probably up there, but I don't think it's going to be the top pick. Not because of the technical issues, but mostly because it's fun. So, like I said, I'm streaming every Tuesday over on twitch.tv/Torlaw. It's usually around 3 p.m. Pacific time. Right now it's Alice Madness Returns. The VODs are coming up in order on every Friday for the next 3 weeks, and then I'll start releasing them the Friday after. Thank you all for watching so far. I very much enjoy making these videos, and I'm glad if anyone comes to watch them. And I hope you have a great weekend. Play some sweet games, and we'll see you next week for maybe a cult classic, or maybe it'll be Hades. I'm not sure yet. We'll find out. Until next time. Matane!